I joked that even his best friend tasted me. He overheard, hired a lawyer, and ended the marriage that night. I used to love Thursday nights. Game night with the girls had become this sacred thing. Bryn, Deirdre, Yasmin, and me, rotating houses every week. Cards, wine, gossip, the kind of conversation that only happens when everyone's a little buzzed and feeling bold. This particular Thursday was at my place, our townhouse in Denver, the one Quinn and I had spent 2 years renovating. Exposed brick in the dining room, those stupid expensive pendant lights I'd insisted on, kitchen island perfect for spreading out cards and cheese boards. Quinn was supposed to be at his site inspection until 8. Civil engineering project out in Lakewood, something about foundation issues. He'd texted me around 5, running late, don't wait up for dinner, love you. So I didn't. By 7, we were 3 bottles deep into a Pinot Noir I'd been saving, and Yasmin had just lost spectacularly at rummy. She was laughing so hard she nearly knocked over her glass. I swear you're cheating, she said, pointing at Bryn. Nobody gets that lucky. It's called strategy, Bryn shot back. You should try it. Deirdre topped off my glass without asking. Speaking of strategy, did you see Yasmin's new trainer at the gym? Oh my god, yes. Yasmin leaned forward, eyes wide, 6'3", shoulders for days. I almost dropped a dumbbell on my foot staring. You're terrible, Bryn said, but she was grinning. I'm married, not dead, Yasmin countered. Come on, Vera backs me up. You can appreciate attractive humans even when you're off the market. I shuffled the cards, feeling warm and loose. Obviously, Quinn's best friend is objectively hot and I'm not afraid to say it. Felix? Deirdre asked. The trainer who moved to Austin? That's the one. Bryn refilled her own glass. Okay, yeah, Felix is stupid attractive. Those arms? Criminal. And that's when I said it. I don't know why. Maybe it was the wine. Maybe it was the comfort of the moment, everyone being outrageous and honest. Maybe I just wanted to see their faces. I paused for effect, grinning. Even his best friend tasted me. The reaction was immediate. Yasmin choked on her wine. Deirdre's mouth fell open. Bryn's eyes went huge. You did not, Bryn whispered. I leaned back in my chair, feeling that dangerous thrill of saying something you shouldn't. I'm just saying. The man's got skills. Vera. Yasmin half laughed, half gasped. Are you serious right now? When? Deirdre demanded. I waved a hand vaguely. Ages ago. Ancient history. But like, memorable ancient history, you know? They were all staring at me, somewhere between scandalized and impressed. The attention felt good. Intoxicating. Even. I was about to embellish, make it sound even more salacious, when I saw Yasmin's expression change. She wasn't looking at me anymore. She was looking past me, at the hallway behind my chair. The laughter died in my throat. I turned around. Quinn was standing there, still in his work jacket, the navy canvas one with the company logo, still holding his keys in one hand, and in his other hand, a bouquet of tulips, pink and white, my favorite, the ones he knew I loved because I'd mentioned it exactly once, 3 years ago. His face was completely blank, not angry, not hurt, not shocked, just nothing. I opened my mouth, no sound came out. My brain was screaming at me to say something, anything, but I couldn't form words. The wine in my system suddenly felt like acid. Behind me, I heard a chair scrape. One of the girls, Bryn, maybe, made a small, strangled sound. Quinn looked at me, not at the girls, not at the wine bottles or the scattered cards, just at me, for 3 seconds that felt like 3 hours. Then he moved. He set the flowers down on the narrow hallway table, gently, carefully, like they mattered. He turned around, and he walked out the front door. I heard his footsteps on the porch, heard his car door open, heard the engine start. I was still frozen in my chair, cards in my hand, 3 friends behind me in absolute silence, and the front door wide open letting in the October cold. The tulips sat on the hallway table, and Quinn was gone. The sound of his taillights disappearing down the street broke the spell. I lurched out of my chair, cards scattering across the floor. Quinn. I ran to the front door, stumbled down the porch steps in my socks. His car was already at the end of the block, turning left toward the main road. Quinn, wait, my voice cracked, like he could hear me, like it would matter. His taillights vanished. I stood there on the sidewalk, breathing hard, the October air cutting through my thin sweater. My phone. I needed my phone. I sprinted back inside. Bryn was standing in the doorway between the kitchen and hallway, her face pale. Deirdre and Yasmin were gathering their things with the frantic energy of people trying to escape a crime scene. Vera, Bryn started. Not now. I grabbed my phone from the counter, dialed Quinn. It rang 4 times. Voicemail. His voice, calm and professional. You've reached Quinn Ashford. Leave a message. Quinn, I'm sorry, I didn't mean, please come back. We need to talk, please. I hung up, texted immediately, I'm so sorry, please come home. Let me explain. The message showed delivered, not read. We should go, Yasmin said quietly. She wouldn't look at me. Yeah, Deirdre already had her purse. Vera, if you need anything, I'm fine. I wasn't. It was just a stupid joke. He needs to cool off. None of them responded to that. They left within 2 minutes. Bryn squeezed my shoulder on her way out but didn't say anything. The sound of their car starting, pulling away, leaving me alone in the house that suddenly felt cavernous. I called Quinn again. Voicemail. Texted. Please, just tell me you're okay. Nothing. I poured the rest of the wine down the sink, cleaned up the cards, the glasses, the cheese board nobody had touched. Kept my phone in my hand the entire time, waiting for it to buzz. It didn't. By midnight, I was pacing. Living room to kitchen to hallway, past those tulips still sitting on the table. I couldn't bring myself to move them. This was fixable. It had to be. It was one comment. One stupid, wine-drunk comment. Yeah, it was bad, obviously. But we'd been together 7 years. Married for 4. That counted for something. Except, the thing I wasn't letting myself think about was that it wasn't really a joke. 6 months ago, Quinn and I had the worst fight of our marriage. I'd come home tipsy from a restaurant opening, part of my job, tasting menus, drinking with chefs, and he'd been furious. Said I had a problem. Said I was drinking too much, too often. I'd fired back that he worked 70-hour weeks and was never home anyway. He'd grabbed a duffel bag, said he was going to his conference in Colorado Springs early, that we both needed space, slammed the door at 9 p.m. on a Friday. I'd been furious, hurt, self-righteous in that way you get when you know you're partly wrong but refuse to admit it. Felix had texted around 10. Hey, Quinn told me you guys fought. You okay? Felix, Quinn's best friend since their freshman year at Boulder. The guy who'd been Quinn's best man at our wedding. Athletic trainer, stupid charming, always checking in on people. Not really, I'd texted back. Wanna grab a drink? 1 drink became 4. 4 drinks became him driving me home because I couldn't. Me inviting him in for water. Water becoming wine. Wine becoming his hand on my knee, me not pulling away. I woke up the next morning with Felix in my bed and a text from Quinn. Flying back tomorrow night. We'll talk. Felix and I didn't talk about it. Didn't acknowledge it. He left before 7. We both knew it couldn't happen again. 3 days later, he called Quinn, and I found out later he'd confessed everything to him while drunk. 2 months after that, Felix took a job in Austin. Problem solved, I'd thought. I'd never told Quinn. Convinced myself it didn't count. That it was a symptom of our fight, not a betrayal. That he'd driven me to it by leaving. Now, standing in my kitchen at 1 a.m., phone still silent, I felt the full weight of what I'd actually done. Not just sleeping with his best friend, but bragging about it, out loud, to an audience, while he stood there holding flowers. I called him one more time. It didn't even ring. Straight to voicemail. He'd turned his phone off. I didn't sleep. I watched the minutes crawl by on the microwave clock, sitting at the kitchen island where we'd eaten breakfast together that morning. He'd kissed my forehead before leaving for work. Love you. See you tonight. At 6:59 a.m., my phone buzzed. Quinn. Finally. One message. Check the dining table. I stood up so fast the barstool tipped over. The dining table was in the next room. I hadn't been in there since last night. Hadn't noticed anything. But now, in the gray morning light coming through the windows, I saw it. A manila envelope. Thick. Official looking. Sitting dead center on the polished wood. My hands were shaking as I walked toward it. I picked up the envelope. Heavy. The kind of weight that means bad news. The kind lawyers use. I pulled out the contents with numb fingers. Divorce papers. Right on top. Official letterhead from Morrison and Associates, Family Law. My name, Vera Catherine Ashford, in stark black print. Petition for dissolution of marriage. Filed yesterday at 4:17 p.m. Yesterday, while I was setting out wine glasses and arranging cheese. While he was buying me flowers. He'd already filed before coming home. My vision blurred. I set the papers down, looked at what was underneath. A notarized document. Affidavit of Felix James Moreno. Dated 4 months ago, August 15th. I read the first line and my stomach dropped through the floor. I, Felix James Moreno, do solemnly swear that on April 12, 2024, I engaged in love-making relations with Vera Catherine Ashford at her residence. It went on. Times. Details. The fact that Quinn was out of town. That we were both intoxicated but consenting. That Felix contacted Quinn 3 days later to confess. That Felix deeply regretted his actions and took full responsibility. 4 months ago. Quinn had known for 4 months. I kept digging through the stack, hands shaking harder now. Hotel receipt, Hyatt Regency downtown Denver. April 12th. One night, checked in at 11:23 p.m. Room 604. Name on the reservation, Quinn R. Ashford. The night I slept with Felix, Quinn had been in Denver. He'd driven back from Colorado Springs and gotten a hotel room instead of coming home. He'd known I would bring someone back. Or suspected. Had he sat in that room knowing what I was doing? Underneath that, screenshots, text messages between Felix and me from April 15th. Felix, we can't tell him. It would destroy him. Me, I know. This never happened.
Felix, I'm so sorry. I shouldn't have come over.
Me, We were both messed up. Let's just forget it. I remembered that conversation. Remembered feeling relieved that Felix agreed to keep quiet. Never once considered that he'd eventually crack. More documents. Bank statements with highlighted transactions. April 20th, $2,500 to Blackwood Investigation Services. May 3rd, $1,800 to Blackwood. June 17th, $2,200 to Blackwood. He'd hired a private investigator. There was a timeline, printed on regular paper, but organized like a project plan, the kind Quinn made for his engineering sites. Neat, methodical, dated entries. April 12th, received call from Felix at 2:34 a.m. Confession made. April 15th, confronted Felix in person. Recorded conversation, with consent. April 20th, retained private investigator. May 8th, obtained text message records. June 2nd, consulted divorce attorney Morrison. August 15th, Felix provided notarized affidavit. October 3rd, finalized divorce petition. October 10th, filed petition. Purchase flowers. Plan to serve papers in person after final confirmation of intent. October 10th, last night, the final confirmation of intent. He'd been waiting for me to tell him, waiting to see if I'd ever come clean. And instead, I'd made it into a punchline. At the bottom of the stack, a single piece of notebook paper. Quinn's handwriting, the only thing in the entire pile that felt human. Vera, I knew the day after. Felix called me drunk at 2 a.m. and confessed everything. He was destroyed, crying, said it was his fault, that he took advantage of our fight. I could have confronted you that weekend when I came home, could have screamed, thrown things, made you feel as small as I felt in that hotel room. But I wanted to see if you'd tell me yourself. 4 months, Vera. I waited 4 months, went to work every day, kissed you goodnight, made you coffee, held your hand at your mother's birthday dinner, the whole time wondering if today would be the day you'd finally be honest with me. You never were. And last night, I came home early with flowers because despite everything, I was still trying, still hoping maybe I was wrong about who you'd become. Then you made it a joke, for an audience. You were proud of it. That's when I knew, you didn't just cheat on me. You don't respect me. Maybe you never did. Don't contact me. Don't show up at my job. My lawyer will handle everything from here. Quinn, I read it 3 times. Then I threw up in the kitchen sink. When I could breathe again, I grabbed my phone, called Quinn. Number disconnected. The robotic voice, the number you have dialed is no longer in service. He'd changed his number. I tried his work email, sent a frantic message begging him to talk to me. It bounced back immediately. User account not found. He'd set up an auto forwarder blocker. I was already filtered out. I called his parents. His mother answered on the 3rd ring. Mrs. Ashford, it's Vera, I need to. The line went dead. I tried his sister. Straight to voicemail. When I tried again, it said the caller was not accepting calls from this number. Blocked. Felix's number. Disconnected. I stood in my kitchen surrounded by evidence of my own destruction. And I couldn't reach a single person who might help me fix this. My phone buzzed in my hand. For a split second, I thought it was Quinn. That he'd reconsidered. That we could talk. It wasn't. It was the group chat with Bryn, Deirdre, and Yasmin. The one we used to coordinate game nights. But the message wasn't in the group. It was just from Bryn. Direct message. Bryn, we all got a message from Quinn this morning. He sent it around 6:30. I'm sorry, Vera, I can't. My blood turned to ice. I opened my text history with Bryn, scrolled up. Nothing from Quinn. He hadn't sent it to me. Just to everyone else. Me. What message? What did he say? 3 dots appeared. Disappeared. Appeared again. Bryn. Everything. He sent everything. Me. Can I see it? What he sent. The 3 dots appeared again. Stayed for a long time. Bryn. I don't think that's a good idea. Me. Bryn, please. 2 minutes passed. Then a screenshot came through. It was an email. Sent to what looked like dozens of people. Our mutual friends. Quinn's college crew. People from my restaurant industry network. The couples we did dinner parties with. The subject line. Unnecessary clarification. The body was short. Clinical. No emotion. Just facts. To our friends and family. Vera and I are divorcing. Some of you will hear rumors, so I want to provide clarity. On April 12th, Vera had an affair with my best friend Felix while I was out of town following an argument. Felix confessed days later. I've known for 6 months. I'm attaching documentation not to humiliate Vera, but to establish the truth before misinformation spreads. I will not be discussing this further with anyone. I appreciate your understanding and privacy during this time. Quinn, below that, thumbnails of attachments. The affidavit, the timeline, everything. I dropped my phone. He'd sent it to everyone. Everyone we knew. At 6:30 in the morning while I was reading his note. While he knew I'd be at my most vulnerable. Not out of anger. Out of strategy. Getting ahead of the narrative. Controlling the story before I could. My phone started buzzing. Deirdre calling. I answered. Vera, her voice was tight. I don't know what to say. It was a mistake, Deirdre. One time. We were fighting and I was drunk and, You joked about it last night, in front of all of us. Like it was funny. I know that was wrong. I wasn't thinking. Vera, she paused. The email said he's known for 6 months. You've been lying to him for 6 months. And us. We've had dinner at your house. I brought my kids to your 4th of July party. You acted like everything was fine. Because I thought it was over. I have to go. I'm sorry. She hung up. Yasmin texted. I need some distance from this. I hope you understand. I didn't understand any of this. Over the next 2 days, it got worse. Quinn's parents sent an email. His dad wrote it, measured, polite, devastating. Vera, we've loved you like a daughter for 7 years. But we cannot maintain a relationship with you after what you've done to our son. We hope you find peace, but please don't contact us again. My own mother called that afternoon. I've been avoiding her. Vera Lynn, what have you done? I'd never heard her voice that cold. Mom, it's complicated. No, it's not. You cheated on your husband with his best friend. Then you humiliated him in front of your friends. There's nothing complicated about that. You don't understand what it was like. We were having problems. Everyone has problems. You don't betray someone because it's hard. Whose side are you on? I'm on the side of decency. Quinn is a good man. Was a good man to you. And you destroyed that. She took a shaky breath. Your father won't even talk about it. He's so disappointed. That word, disappointed. It cracked something in my chest. Are you going to abandon me too? My voice came out small. I'm not abandoning you. But I'm also not going to pretend this is anything other than what it is. You did this, Vera. You fix it. She hung up. I tried calling Quinn's sister, his college roommate, the couple we used to go skiing with. All blocked. All silent. My editor at Denver Taste called on day 3. Vera, I'm hearing things about your personal life. It's being handled. It won't affect my work. The restaurant scene here is tight. People talk. I'm not saying this is fair, but maybe take a couple weeks. Let things settle. Are you firing me? I'm suggesting you take some personal time. Same thing. On day 5, Felix texted from a new number. I only knew it was him from the message. I told Quinn because I couldn't live with it. I moved to Austin to get away from what we did. I'm in therapy. I'm trying to be better. What you said at game night was unforgivable. You made it sound like a conquest. Like you were proud. I'm sorry this is happening to you. But that's on you, not him. Then, don't contact me again. Or blocked before I could respond. Through a friend of a friend, I learned Quinn had moved into a modern loft downtown. One of those new builds with floor-to-ceiling windows and a rooftop gym. Someone saw him at a coffee shop looking really good, actually. Better than before. He'd started therapy. Joined a cycling club. Was training for some charity ride in the spring. Meanwhile, I was sitting in our townhouse, still co-owned, tangled in legal paperwork, eating takeout alone and sleeping 4 hours a night. Every room had a memory. The kitchen where he'd make me breakfast on Sundays. The living room where we'd binge-watched entire series. The bedroom where I'd destroyed everything. I couldn't stay here, but I couldn't afford to leave until the asset division was settled. On day 8, I made a decision. I had to see him. Had to try one more time to explain. To apologize in person. To make him understand that I knew I'd messed up but that 7 years had to count for something. I drove across town to his new building. Found parking a block away. Sat in my car rehearsing what to say. I'm not asking for forgiveness. I'm not asking to get back together. I just need you to know I understand what I did. That I'm sorry. That you deserved better. Simple. Honest. No excuses. I got out of the car. Walked to his building. Modern glass and steel. The kind of place he'd always wanted to live before we compromised on the townhouse. The lobby was visible through the windows. Sleek furniture. A coffee bar in the corner. And Quinn, walking in from the street entrance, dressed in cycling gear. Looking healthy. Tan. His shoulders broader somehow. Or maybe I just hadn't seen him clearly in months. He was laughing. Someone was with him. A woman, athletically built, brunette, wearing matching cycling gear. She touched his arm while saying something, and he grinned, that real grin I hadn't seen in forever. They walked toward the elevators together. I stood frozen on the sidewalk, 20 feet from the door, watching through the glass as the elevator arrived and they stepped inside. The doors closed. He never saw me. I stood there until my feet went numb from the cold, then walked back to my car and sat behind the wheel, staring at nothing. He'd moved on, completely, and I had no right to care. I didn't go back to his building. Didn't try to intercept him. What would I even say? Hey, I know I destroyed our marriage, but could you maybe not be happy without me? The mediation for asset division was scheduled for the following Tuesday, required by Colorado law before the divorce could be finalized. I'd hired a lawyer, some guy named Patterson who smelled like stale coffee and kept calling me Mrs. Ashford like the name still meant something. Quinn walked into the conference room at Morrison & Associates at exactly 2 p.m. First time I'd seen him in person since that night. 16 days ago, but it felt like 16 years. He looked good. That was the worst part. Not haggard or broken. Just clear. Like he'd been living in fog for months and finally stepped into sunlight. He wore a gray Henley and dark jeans. Casual, confident. He didn't look at me when he sat down. His attorney, a sharp woman in her 50s named Carmichael, laid out the proposed division. Fair, painfully fair. Quinn was giving me half of everything we'd accumulated, even though he'd been the higher earner. The townhouse would be sold, profits split, retirement accounts divided. No alimony requested by either party. Mr. Ashford has requested one item remain with him, Carmichael said, sliding a paper across the table. The dining table from the townhouse. It was inherited from his grandfather. I remembered. Solid oak. We'd refinished it together one summer, sanding and staining for weeks. His grandfather had built it by hand in 1952. That's fine, I said quietly. Patterson looked at me. You sure? It's worth at least. It's fine. Quinn's eyes flicked toward me for half a second. Then away. We signed preliminary agreements. Everything civil. Professional. Like we were strangers dissolving a business partnership, not a marriage. When it was done, Quinn stood to leave. I followed him into the hallway. Quinn, wait. He stopped, turned. His face was neutral. Polite. Worse than anger. Can we just... My voice cracked. Can we talk? 5 minutes, please. There's nothing to say. There's everything to say. I need to apologize. I need you to know that Vera, he said my name like it was a word in a foreign language he'd once known but forgotten. I don't need your apology. I don't need your explanation. I don't need anything from you. Quinn, please. 7 years. That has to mean something. It did. Past tense. Until you made it mean nothing. I made a mistake. One horrible mistake. But the joke, that wasn't me. I was drunk and stupid and, the joke was exactly you. His voice didn't rise. That would have been easier. That was you when you thought it was safe. When you thought I'd never know. You weren't sorry. You were proud. I wasn't. You smiled, Vera, while you said it. I watched you smile. I had no response to that. He adjusted the strap of his laptop bag. I have to go. He walked toward the elevator. I didn't follow this time. The consequences kept coming in small, sharp ways. I had to find a new hairdresser. My old one was Quinn's cousin. She sent a text. I can't in good conscience continue our appointment. I hope you understand. The gym felt like hostile territory. I ran into 2 of Quinn's friends there, guys I'd known for years, and they looked through me like I was invisible. Our favorite Thai place, the one we'd been going to every Friday for 3 years, suddenly felt off limits. The owner knew us. Knew Quinn. I couldn't face walking in alone. Holiday invitations stopped coming. Bryn's annual Thanksgiving thing. We'd been every year since we moved to Denver. Radio silence. Then an email from Jillian, my best friend since college. Vera, I'm sorry, but Quinn will be at Thanksgiving. I've known him almost as long as I've known you, and I have to choose. I hope you understand. Everyone chose him, because of course they did. The divorce hearing was quick. 43 minutes in a fluorescent lit courtroom with a judge who'd clearly done this 1,000 times. Quinn arrived with Carmichael. I arrived with Patterson. We stood on opposite sides of the aisle. The judge asked the standard questions. Irreconcilable differences. Asset division agreed upon. No children involved. Any objections? None. Gavel. Done. 4 years dissolved faster than it took to get an oil change. Quinn walked out without looking back. I signed the final paperwork on the townhouse 2 days later. Sold my half to Quinn for slightly under market value just to be done with it. Couldn't stand being there anymore. Every room screamed his absence. I moved into a 1-bedroom apartment in Capitol Hill. White walls, cheap carpet, none of our furniture, that had been divided up, Quinn taking most of it because I couldn't bear to look at any of it. Starting over at 32. Alone. With a reputation in tatters and a contact list that had shrunk by 2/3. On my first night in the new place, sitting on an air mattress because my actual bed wouldn't arrive until Thursday, I opened my laptop, wrote an email to Quinn. Not begging, not excusing, just, honest. Quinn, I know you don't want to hear from me. I know I have no right to ask for your time or attention. But I need to say this, even if you delete it without reading. I destroyed us. Not because of one night 6 months ago, but because of who I became after. Someone who could lie to your face every day. Someone who could turn betrayal into a punchline. You deserved honesty. You deserved a partner who respected you enough to tell the truth, even when it was hard. I gave you neither. I'm not asking for forgiveness. I'm not asking for anything. I just needed you to know that I understand what I did. That I see it clearly now. That if I could go back, I would burn that entire night to the ground before I let it happen. You deserved better than me. I hope you find it. I read it 12 times. Changed words. Changed them back. Finally just hit send before I could overthink it anymore. The email bounced back immediately. Delivery status notification. Failure. Address not found. Your message wasn't delivered to Quinn.Ashford at, because the address couldn't be found. He deleted his email. Or blocked me at the server level. Or created a filter that automatically rejected anything from my address. I was erased. Completely. From his phone. His email. His life. I closed the laptop and stared at the bare walls of my empty apartment. And for the first time since that night, I understood something with perfect clarity. This wasn't temporary. This wasn't something time would heal. This wasn't a breakup where we'd eventually be cordial or exchange awkward small talk at mutual friends' weddings. This was permanent. Quinn hadn't destroyed me with rage or revenge. He'd destroyed me by simply removing himself completely. By being so thorough in his exit that I couldn't even reach him to apologize. The door hadn't slammed. It had closed. Quietly. Permanently. And I was the one who'd given him the key. 3 months later, I was still in that apartment. Same white walls. Same cheap carpet that felt rough under bare feet. I bought actual furniture by then. A couch from IKEA. A table that wobbled. A bed frame I assembled wrong twice before getting it right. Work continued. I hadn't been fired. Just diminished. Smaller assignments. Restaurant reviews in neighborhoods nobody cared about. My editor stopped inviting me to industry events. The network I'd spent years building had quietly shuffled me to the margins. I still got paid. Still had bylines. But the trajectory I'd been on, the one pointing toward maybe editing my own section someday, had flatlined. Every Sunday, I made myself catalog what I'd lost. Not as punishment. As reality. Quinn. Obviously. The man who used to make me coffee every morning exactly how I liked it. Who remembered which podcasts I'd mentioned wanting to listen to. Who left sticky notes on the bathroom mirror when he left early for work. You're going to crush that review today. Felix, who'd been a genuine friend before I turned him into an accomplice. We'd done a Tough Mother together once. He'd talked me through applying for the food critic job when I was terrified I wasn't qualified. Gone. Quinn's family. His mom had taught me to make her wedding soup recipe. His dad and I used to argue about football every Thanksgiving. His sister and I had planned to run a half marathon together. All of it. Erased. My own parents. Still speaking to me, but different now. Careful. Distant. My dad hadn't called me kiddo since he found out. That absence was its own kind of death. Bryn, Deirdre, Yasmin, the game night crew. Our text thread had gone silent after that morning. Bryn had unfollowed me on Instagram. Small thing. Huge thing. The couple we used to ski with in Breckenridge. The neighbors who'd host barbecues. Quinn's college friends who'd become mine. The whole social ecosystem we'd built together. Gone. They hadn't chosen sides. They'd chosen him. Because I'd made it easy. Through the grapevine. Smaller now, but still functional. I heard updates. Quinn got promoted. Senior project manager on some major infrastructure contract. His sister posted about it on Facebook. I wasn't blocked there. Just ignored. He'd completed that charity cycling ride. Raised $3,000 for youth mentorship programs. The brunette from his building was in the photos. Her hand on his shoulder in several shots. He looked happy. Really, genuinely happy. Not the performative happiness of someone trying to prove they're over something. Just happy. I ran into Bryn in November at a coffee shop in Cherry Creek. She saw me, hesitated, but came over. We were adults. We could be civil. Hey, she said. How are you? Managing. I gestured to the empty chair. Want to sit? She glanced at her watch. I've got a few minutes. We talked about surface things. Her job. The weather. Carefully avoiding anything real until she couldn't anymore. I hope you're okay, Vera. I really do. I know. But that night, she looked down at her coffee. The way you said it. Like you were proud. Like it was this funny story. I can't forget that. I wasn't proud. I was deflecting. Hiding behind bravado. Maybe. She met my eyes. But Quinn was standing right there. Holding flowers. And you didn't stop. You kept going. I had no defense for that. I have to go, she said, standing. Take care of yourself. She left. Didn't suggest we get coffee again. Didn't say let's catch up soon. Just left. That night, I had the dream again. Same one I'd been having since October. I'm sitting at the dining table. Cards spread out. Wine glasses. The girls laughing. And I hear the front door open. Quinn's footsteps in the hallway. I turn around and he's there. Holding the tulips. Face blank. But in the dream, I don't freeze. I stand up. I run to him. I apologize before he can walk away. I tell him the truth about April before he has to discover it himself. I fix it. Except the dream never gets that far. It always resets right when I'm about to speak. Back to the table. Back to the door opening. An infinite loop of that single moment where everything broke. And when I wake up, I understand what my subconscious is trying to tell me. There is no timeline where I fix this. No version of events where I make a different choice and we end up okay. The damage is permanent. The door is closed. Some mistakes don't get do-overs. I'd spent months trying to understand Quinn's revenge. Waiting for some big public humiliation. Some final confrontation where he'd tell me exactly how much I'd hurt him. It never came. Because the revenge wasn't an action. It was an absence. He didn't destroy me with exposure. He'd been factual, not cruel, in that email. He didn't destroy me with anger or bitterness or drawn-out legal battles. He destroyed me by simply leaving. Completely. Thoroughly. So totally that I couldn't even reach him to apologize into the void. He'd made me irrelevant. And in doing so, forced me to sit with exactly what I'd done. No distractions. No drama. No way to make it about his reaction instead of my action. Just me. And the truth. And the permanent consequences. I cheated on my husband with his best friend. Then I lied about it for 6 months. Then I made it a joke while he stood there holding flowers. That's who I was in that moment. Maybe that's who I still am. I don't know if I'm a better person now. I drink less. I'm honest about small things, returning incorrect change, admitting when I'm wrong about restaurant recommendations. But the big stuff? The part of me that was capable of that kind of betrayal? I'm not sure that goes away. I'm not sure I've earned the right to trust myself. Quinn moved on because he's a person who knows his worth, who won't accept disrespect even from someone he loved, who had the strength to walk away cleanly instead of drowning in bitterness. I'm still here because this is what I built. This small apartment. This diminished career. This carefully managed loneliness. Every night, I hear the door open in my dreams. But it never closes. Because he didn't slam it. Didn't leave it open for me to follow. Didn't give me the satisfaction of a big dramatic exit I could rage against or process or eventually move past. He just closed it. Quietly, firmly, permanently. And I'm the one who handed him the key. Thank you so much for watching until the end. If you really like our videos, please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Have a great day.